We actually have a lot to cover this evening. I want to thank everyone for being here. Great to see that many people here in an in-person meeting. We're starting to come back. It looks like we got through Seaside without any major complications from COVID, so that's pretty cool. Next slide. So I put it in the slide so I'd remember to do it. See that? Now, how long before I forget? Start the recording. Do we have guests this evening? Anyone that's here for the first time? Please go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, if you got a license or you're just visiting.
Okay. My name is Dan. I'm Kilo Echo 7, Mike Nancy. I was first licensed in 1967. And actually, I did an upgrade thanks to the club last month to amateur extra class. I was finally like, after so many years, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And so I've got too many radios, extra radios to get rid of now. And that's about it. I'm mostly on HF. And I do a fair amount of CW. That's my meditation on the radio.
That's great. We have any other guests here this evening? These two young ladies, please.
Just talking.
Yep, you're good. It's already set.
My name is Natalia Zapeta, and I believe the poop's going to hit the wind blower pretty soon, and we're not going to have any communication at all, except for through folks like are here. And I want to be part of that. I kind of need to be part of that. That's why I'm here today.
My name is Wynn, and I was at the MAFA meeting where I met him, and he gave us this paper telling us that you were having this meeting tonight. So I told Claire, I said, we better go and learn how to do this. And then I found out it wasn't a class, but we're here. And as long as you'll have us, we want to learn what you know. So we want to be part of it. I was a security guard for 10 years and I did dispatch. So I do know how to do call signs and things like that. And I know yours are different, but so I have a little experience talking on, doing dispatch. So
okay, so we have other guests or new hams that are here this evening for the first time. All right. Anyone to announce a license upgrade? Anyone that upgraded their license since the last meeting? How about any brag points? Anyone get an award or a certificate? Okay. So I'm going to give a very brief president's report this evening. There's been a lot going on and everyone needs to know that. Then Tim is going to talk about Lewis and Clark trails on the air. And just a reminder about the CCARC CUSO party. If you did take part in that, please send Marilyn your logs from that so she can follow up. Okay. And then we're going to have a wrap up from Greg. Is going to talk about CPAC and how it went. And then I'm going to talk about field day and we're going to do some final comments. So at that, Tim, you're up. Toby.
Thank you. All right, Lewis and Clark Trail on the air. He's going to bring the slides up. For those that are new here and haven't heard what this is, Lewis and Clark Trail on the air is a special event being hosted by our club and includes 16 states and 20 other clubs that are participating. Basically, we're activating all the states that were involved with the Lewis and Clark expedition. It goes on for 16 days, and right now we're in the middle of it. So if you have the one slide before that, no, before that, right at the very beginning there. There you go. It goes from June 4th to June 19th. And right now it's what, June 10th. So we got about 9 more days. So you can be either an activator or a hunter. If you're a hunter, then you're trying to contact one of those stations that represents the 16 states. And if you get all 16 states, you can get a really nice certificate that says you're a Lewis and Clark Trail expedition partner. And if you are hunting and you only get a couple of the states, well, then you're just a Lewis and Clark trail companion. You can get a certificate for that too. They're really nice certificates. So, or you can be an activator. Now, an activator is one of the clubs that's actually calling CQ to activate one of the states. We're representing the state of Washington. So if you want to activate for the state of Washington and for this club using our club call sign, then you'll be contacting Vern Peters over here, and he'll actually sign you up to be an activator to call CQ. And you can do it either doing phone, sideband, you can do CW, or you can do FT8. So the very last slide will have all the detailed information on how you can sign up to be an activator. Next slide. So this is where we are so far from a stat standpoint. The very first night we started was Friday night at 5 p.m. because that's also January 4th, 000 UTC, right? So January 3rd, 5 p.m. is when it kicked off. I was at CPAC. I got set up there and drove all the way back to Washington here, got on the air about 8:15 or something like that to activate. Call CQ, and it was on like Donkey Kong. Let me tell you, one CQ, and it was just call after call after call after call. So it was tremendous. Now, I do say that I only got 45 contacts in 45 minutes. If it was a contest, it'd be higher than that. But, you know, I would encourage all the single sideband operators, remember, give out the call sign, talk about the event, right? This is Lewis and Clark Trail on the Air. And if necessary, go ahead and send them to either the Lewis and Clark Trail on the Air website, or even easier, just send them to the W7AIA QRZ page. You're already calling W7AIA, and it's pretty easy to just say, go to our QRZ page, and that'll take them to the Lewis and Clark webpage. Because frankly, saying, you know, Lima, Charlie, Tango, Oscar, Tango, Alpha, and having somebody get that right to get .org to get to the right webpage, they'll probably forget that. So we did the first Friday, Saturday morning, we had already had 435 QSOs in the law that were logged, and 12 logs that were turned in. Now, we're not requesting all the activators to turn their logs in right away. In fact, some activators might not turn their logs in until the very last day. But those that are turning their logs in every time they operate does kind of give us a good idea of what's going on. As of this morning at 10 a.m., we've had 7,677 QSOs from the logs we've received so far. 216 logs have been uploaded, and we currently have 1,027 hours of activation from all the clubs to be on the air to call CQ. Now, we know there are folks that spontaneously will go, hey, I got an hour, I'll go activate. And then they'll put their time in. So we won't really have a good idea of the total hours of activation until this is all over. And I hate to say it, there's a couple of clubs out there that are activating and they're not putting their time in the schedule. I can't control what they're doing. I just hope that they get their logs turned in. Let's see. We are struggling with logs from Montana and West Virginia. Those are the only ones we have not seen any logs turned in, but thankfully Stan has told me that West Virginia is actually on the air, so that's good. And we did get an email from Montana this couple of days ago saying that they are going to be on the air this weekend. So that should mean all states have been activated. So far for our own club has turned in 500 QSOs. Those are just the ones turned in. Like I said, if you're running FT8 and you don't want to create logs and keep turning them in, that's fine. But there's probably a lot of folks operating FT8 that won't turn in all their logs until the end. We've had 19 logs turned in so far and 90 hours of activation time. And, you know, we still have 2 full weekends to go, 9 days and 2 full weekends. Next slide. So here's some other stats. Oh, yeah, if you go to the lctota.org, Lewis and Clark Trail on the Air webpage, you'll notice that this is how you find the activators. Those that are currently operating should be highlighted in green. Also, what you want to do is select what time zone you're in. If you're in the Pacific time zone, which we are, select Pacific. and that'll tell you what in your current time of when those folks are operating. So even if it's Kentucky and it says 10 p.m., that's 10 p.m. your local time. Okay. Next slide. And here's just some stats. We've been tracking the activity on the web page, because web page is also an idea how much interest is being garnered by this. And we can see that May, there was a little bit more activity, and then come June, we start seeing a very sharp rise in activity on the web page as people hear about it and then go to the web page to find out more about what's going on. Next one. This is a more of a detailed when we zoom in. I apologize, it's a little fuzzy. It was a screen capture, but as you can see from June 9th was the very first day I think we were operating, and the build up to that, there was a lot of folks that were looking at the advertisements that we've had on QRZ page, on the ARL newsletters and the section managers. All that stuff has generated quite a bit of activity. So anyways, last page should be how you can sign up to be an activator.
Lucy.
Okay, somebody needs to mute their microphone, and it's not me. I'm the one talking. Anyone can be a hunter. Just go to the lctota.org webpage and see who's calling CQ, right? That easy to be a hunter. And you don't have, by the way, if you're a hunter, you do not have to turn in a log. All you have to do is make contact. Only the activators turn in logs. And then if you want to activate a station and sign up for an hour or so, there's Bern Peters. He's right there in the black shirt, mine with the big hands up in the air. And that's how you get a hold of him. Send him an email and he'll send you an email invite to the webpage where you can get into the schedule and schedule your time. Mr. Delvin. Yes, just because you're an activator doesn't mean you can't be a hunter. You can work both sides. If you are an activator, there is an operating guide. You got to read the operating guide because you're going to be calling CQ. You need to make sure you set up your log correctly. So do read the operating rules. Hunter, it's just as easy as just picking up the microphone and giving your call sign, and they'll ask you, what's your name and what's your state? That's simple. James. You can, there are, because we are working Lewis and Clark Trail, there are some folks that are literally activating their stations from a Lewis and Clark National Park or state park. So they're getting, they're double dipping there, which is allowed. This is an operating event. It's not a contest. You can make, by the way, you can be a hunter and make contact with the same station every day of the week if you want. Duplications aren't an issue. This is not a contest. It's getting on the air and having fun. That's what it's all about. Any other questions? I'm going to turn this back over to Dave, unless you want me to make other announcements. Current events, history. Okay. So tempting.
Did anyone out on Zoom have any questions? Next up is Greg from CPAC, and he'll give us a brief review of how that went.
Good evening, everyone. I know most of you, but some of you I don't. I'm Greg Schuster, KI7DTS, and I had the privilege of being the CPAC committee chair this year. And I'm going to give you a little rundown on what we had last weekend. First of all, I'd like to see who went to CPAC. Raise your hand. Oh, I don't need to say anything. You guys know it all. Okay, I'll go through it anyway. Okay, it was last weekend in Seaside, if you've never been there. Just a few numbers to get started here. We had a little over 1,600 registered guests. That was down from our 6-year average of 2,152. Not bad. We had no clue what to expect this year. We were dark for 2 years and brought this thing back to life, and we didn't know if anybody was going to come, and we were pleasantly surprised. We had a full complement of exhibitors, except 3 canceled. They caught COVID in Dayton the week or two weeks before, so they canceled on us. We sold all the one-day flea market tables, although you may have seen some empty ones if you were there. We had some no-shows. I don't know if it was COVID fear or rain, but they just didn't show up. We sold all but a few of the 2-day tables. The Clark County Club had, you have 4 tables, or how many tables do you have? 4. That's what I thought. Okay. You guys had 4 tables, 4 2-day tables. You're upstairs on the mezzanine. And we had no COVID requirements. We were sweating bullets after we said we're going to go in January, and we were just worried that we'd have to do something like masks or vaccination records or who knows. But we had nothing per Toby. We recommended masks, and I wore one almost the whole weekend. I tested this morning and I'm negative. So there you go. And so next slide, please. Continuing on that, Delvin Button, he's our workshop and seminar coordinator. He coordinated 4 workshops on Friday and 37 Saturday and Sunday seminars. That is the hardest job at CPAC. If you've been a president or vice president of this club, trying to find one presentation a month, it's amazing. Anyway, both the YL and the DX luncheons had CCARC speakers. Barbara at the YL and Al Roven at the DX. We were well represented by ARRL was well represented at CPAC this year. We had 5 officers, including the president and the CEO, and staff. We had the 2 Northwestern Division officers. We had 4 of the 6 Northwestern section managers. Yeah, as I said at the bottom, this is probably the largest contingent of ARRL VIPs in recent history. And we even had the Alaska section manager show up. Of course, if he flew, he drove shorter than the guy from Idaho had to drive. So that's the way that works. Next slide, please. Just a little peek behind the curtain of what CPAC is. We're a committee led by a chair and a vice chair every year. The vice chair is a volunteer for a 2-year term.
Oh my God.
Hello. The vice chair becomes the chair in year 2. The leadership alternates between the Ottbark Club and the Clark Club. This year was the Clark Club. Next year will be Ottbark. And we're looking for and the new vice chair is always approved by the executive committee, which I'll talk about in a second. There are 23 committees that make up CPAC. Each of them is led by a coordinator with an alternate. Alternates are always hard to find. We're always looking for alternates, assistants. We have 2 club liaisons. Gary Takis is the club liaison for this club, and Ron O'Connor is for Ottbark. We meet monthly starting in September, and we're now meeting via Zoom, thank goodness, because having to drive from here to Beaverton on a Tuesday night was always bad. So meeting Zoom has been just a wonderful thing. Oversight for all of CPAC is is done by an executive committee. The former chairs, CPAC treasurer, Ottbark president, the club liaisons, and the active chairs for that year. The EC is mostly in charge of financial and policy decisions. So, next chart, please. There we go. This year's members were myself as the committee chair. I'm also PIO and photographer. Gary Takis, you can see he does publications and he's the club liaison, plus the web pages. Wayne back there, he's got a whole mess of jobs. Delvin workshops, and this year he took on the coordination of a brand new activity called the Reception for All, which was for our VIP people, and we allowed other attendees to come in paying a nominal fee. Bruce here was our security and convention setup and teardown assistant. Shane Rowan was our social media. Jeff Apgar unfortunately had a medical issue, so he couldn't attend this year, but Bruce found himself a volunteer to help him with security. And Vanessa came on this year to transition to a new hospitality coordinator, passing on her knowledge, and so she'll be stepping aside next year. Next chart, please. Here's a list of the Clark County workshop and seminar presenters. Toby presented at the emergency workshop. Dave Churba had 3 jobs at the DX. He was the moderator and did the introduction and low power contesting. Oh, Toby was a moderator? You didn't tell me that. Yeah, you forgot that. Okay. The seminars, we had five seminars. Tim did Lewis and Clark. James operating with HOA constraints. Al Rovner did networking basics for ham radio. Al Louie did the 7th Area QSL Bureau. And Mark Brakey, who's not really a member anymore of the club, but he is in CCARC. He did practical applications of solar power on Sunday, and that was, wow, there were a lot of people in that room. Next chart, please. CPAC is, okay, now this is my sales pitch. CPAC is always looking for volunteers. They are the lifeblood of CPAC. None of us get paid to do this. A lot of us spend 9 months of a year getting ready for this thing. I'm not done yet. I've been busier this week than I was the week before the convention. We're always looking for assistant coordinators. It's hard to find those people. We have a desperate need for someone to help our new flea market coordinator. He wasn't able to secure one this year, and it showed. Being an assistant allows you to ease into a position of responsibility. You'll then be ready to take over at some time in the future. Volunteers at the convention, we call them day workers. They come in and they work a few hours. And when you're in Seaside and you got a couple hours on the side, just so we can always use people for security. Move in, move out, especially move out on Sunday. Everyone disappears after the last prize is given away, but we need people helping put stuff away and helping the exhibitors and the flea market guys move out. Okay, next chart. Some of you may not know that CPAC is co-sponsored by the Clark Club, and we share in the proceeds. Even though attendance was down this year, it looks like we'll get a cut of something. It's up to the treasurer doing all his new math and algorithms, and I don't know what it does. But anyway, I'm pretty sure we will get a cut this year. One of the factors that determines the cut is this club's volunteer contribution. So the more people that volunteer, the more money we theoretically can get. To volunteer for next year, you can send email to volunteers@cpac.org or me, or contact one of the coordinators directly. That's all on the webpage. Next slide, please. Okay, some pictures. We were in this is our first time in the brand new renovated convention center over there. That was the lobby area where registration was. Upper right is the Hip Ham shirt booth, and there's Rick Smith looking at shirts, and Mark and Laura, and then the main flea market floor. Next chart. Oh, there they are, and there are the guys who work the flea market table upstairs. And there's Marilyn and Barb. They were at the YLRL booth. Next chart. And that's the upper left is the banquet. It was pretty well attended this year, considering we only had 1,600 in total attendance. And over on the right is Barbara and the Fords, and then Al Rovner at the DX luncheon down there. Next chart, please. Looking ahead to 2023, we hope to see you all there next year. It's going to be June 2nd through 4th at the Seaside Convention Center again. Online registration will open on February 15th. We were about a month late this year, restarting the registration process, but hopefully we'll start again on the 15th. If you're not already receiving information about CPAC, there is a newsletter called The Waves that comes out every month, and we do send out email blasts with special things like the opening and closing of online registration and things like that. And just send an email to info@cpac.org, and that'll end up in Wayne's mailbox, and he'll add you to the email list. And finally, a big thank you to all of you who contributed this year to CPAC 2022. Any questions? Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, thank you. That was a brand new process. We had to, because of some new PayPal rules that popped up in the last few years, we had to go to another payer system that accepts PayPal. But it required our programmer to just go crazy. We did not get email confirmations out to those of you who registered. That's something we're going to do next year. We just didn't have time to get it instituted this year. So, any other questions? Okay, thanks a lot.
God damn it.
Can the people on Zoom make sure you're muted? That's the second interesting outburst. I can mute everybody, but that way you can't ask questions. Okay, so we're at the part of the presentations this evening where I do my normal field day introduction. It's something I'm really passionate about. The field day is coming up in exactly 2 weeks. 2 weeks from right now, we'll be having ice cream probably after finishing setup at field day. So we're going to go through just sort of what we're doing at field day so you all have an idea. I've got the current sign up sheets and stuff so we can take a look. And next slide. So the overall intent of field day is we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to review the operating positions, the basic radios and logging methods that we use. I have a general schedule up of what's going to take place when. The station operating schedule, I'll show you what they look like as of this morning when I captured them off the website, and talk a little bit about volunteering to help, and especially what you should take away from your field day experience. It should be a good time. So it's a major social time for our club. People come out, they share fellowship. We have a potluck dinner on Saturday night. There's breakfast on Sunday morning. It's a time for y'all to sit around and talk and share stories and brag and do all that kind of fun stuff. It's normally fairly well attended. We have usually about 100 people show up sometime during the day, Saturday, for the social part. We invest a lot of money as a club. We spend upwards of $2,000 to help put field day on every year. That's a big expense item for the club, and we do that for all of you so you can get out, have a good time, and participate, just to realize. We want to foster a good understanding of the public of what amateur radio is. There's been a fair amount of negative press recently. A couple of amateur operators have been arrested for doing bad things, having nothing to do with amateur radio, but it reflects on all of us. So this is a chance to get out and show the public that we're a positive construction and we support public service in a whole variety of ways in our community. We're going to demonstrate emergency preparedness. Let's face it, we're going to take a blank grassy field and it's going to become a big operational site for 24 hours. And that doesn't happen just spontaneously. It takes effort and planning. And that's part of what amateur radio is about, is being able to be prepared for emergencies. We try to provide an environment where people can come and experience a chance to talk. We have a get on the air station. If you're not licensed, if you've never been on HF, or if you haven't been on HF for 10 years because you've been busy with life, come out and operate. We actually have people that will mentor you while you're operating. There's no screw ups. There's no blame. You're going to mess up. You won't believe some of the mess ups we do out there. But it's just part of the learning experience to get out there and have a good time and do that. We'll have information booths set up. The Aries group is going to have a booth set up. They'll have a Go kit. They'll do some messaging. They've agreed to be a more integrated part of our field day this year, so it should work out more like the years past when we had a much better collaborative atmosphere with them. And we have other community organizations that we're trying to entice to come out there. There are years when Crest has had an information booth. Well, we actually had the Sheriff SWAT team out there one year. So we are trying to encourage some of the other community groups to be out there and have an information booth. Plus, come out and learn more about what it is that we do. So, one of the things that you need to do is you need to measure how successful we are doing field day. These are all the different bonus points that we get from field day. it's not a contest. They always say it's not a contest. But I'll tell you, if it's not a contest, there's a lot of bragging rights that go along with getting a good score. There's a lot of pride involved in that. I'm always amazed. There's a radio club called Mike and Key. Most of you from around here have heard about it. They make upwards of 5,000 QSOs a field day with 3 operating stations. Now, the last time we had field day down there, we made 1,000 plus QSOs. So for us, it was an all-time record. And that's the kind of thing we strive at. But we get points for emergency power. We run on generator the whole time. Media publicity. If we get anything in print or on the radio, we get points. We set up in a public place, so we get points for that. We have information booths. We send a message. We get a field day message from the ARRL. We do some standard message forums up to 10. That's one of the things that the Aries Group is going to help us with this year. We do satellite. We actually do low orbit satellite, mostly the linear transponder ones, because they're a lot easier to do because there's a billion people trying to do the FM ones. Last year, we made 37 QSOs on satellite during field day, which was a pretty bright spot in the field day. We have Floyd is going to bring a solar cell and a unit out. We're going to charge up some batteries, and we're going to make our solar power QSOs this year from that. We did last year as well. We've invited elected officials. We've got served agencies that are invited to come. We got seminars scheduled. Rick has got 3 different people scheduled to talk on Saturday afternoon. So we have an educational component. If we get youth operators out there in any form, anyone under 18 that we can get out there, licensed, unlicensed, doesn't matter. We get them at that go-to station. We have them make a few QSOs, and that gives us attaboys. Not to mention that we do something that's really important to amateur radio, trying to get young people more involved. We have the go-to station. We submit on the web. We have a safety officer. Toby's keeping us on our toes again this year. He yells at me because I always forget to put a hard hat on. You see, I don't ever worry about it because I'm always up high on the tower. It's the rest of you guys working underneath that got to worry about me dropping something on you. And we do social media. So, okay, thanks. We get 2 points for CW QSOs. So if you're a CW operator, you count twice as much as anybody on voice. Okay. Sidebands count 1 point, digital count 2. We hope to have FT8 and RIDI both available on at least 2 of the stations this year. So we should have a chance at that. We're going to be a club station will be A. The ARRL made some interesting rules. Home stations can only run 100 watts. None of this big gun stuff like K3LR firing up his massive superstation, running all 10 stations on all bands and running, full kilowatts. Everybody at home can only run 100 watts now. So now home stations can still contact home stations. There used to be you couldn't do that, but they're doing that to try to encourage things. We still can accumulate scores. So if you operate at home and you also operate at field day, we can aggregate the scores to benefit the club. The power multiplier, we're going to be under 150 watts. So it's 2x. The number of Qs we make, that's the big deal. Again, getting youth operators to be there. And new amateurs making 20 or more contacts on a go-to station get extra points for that as well. So is this a social success? It's a shared responsibility. We have all sorts of people in the club involved in helping do this. It's not one individual. There's a whole bunch of people involved. We look at the sign-up sheets. So it is a social success for the club because we have teamwork. We have committees that work on this stuff. And we want everybody to have a positive experience. I have to tell you, in the middle of the night, when you're stressing that the band isn't open and that, you can get pretty cranky, especially when you're sleep deprived for 2 days. So, but the goal here is to have a very positive experience. Even if there's a little stress, it's stress or constructive reason. So, and that's just normal. What? Yeah, we're getting to that. Okay, next slide. All the operating positions use N1MM for logging. The way it works out is they're all wired up on a wireless network. So whatever anyone logs on one station shows up on the others. So it's all integrated log. It is so much easier than what you guys were doing a few years ago. The minute we went to that computerized group logging, it was made life so much easier. The GOTA station, we have a Yaesu FT450. It has a 20-meter and a 40-meter vertical, and there'll be coaches there to help. The 20-meter station will be an ICOM, a rig blaster auto tuner. We have a 4-element beam up at 50 feet on a tower trailer. So we got a lot of aluminum in the air for that. 80 and 10 and 15 station is a FT450. We have an 80-meter dipole and a 40-meter dipole up at about 50 feet. And the tri-band beam is mounted on one of the portable towers that Tim brings. 40-meter station, we have another ICOM 7200 and the 40-meter dipole. This is our operating site. This is the field where we operate. Let me grab the laser pointer for a minute. So in here under the shade of these big pine trees is where all the shade structure and the monkey huts and everything go. The tower, crank up tower, tilt over tower will be here. We'll have the tri-band beam here. We'll have a VHF tower set up here. And then the long wires we stretch between these two trees and we run the cables back. So it's a pretty extensive setup. Next slide. This shows you a little bit about the diagram, the power distribution that we run, and a little bit about how the antennas are hooked up. We have the free VHF, UHF station. So we have 12-element beam on 2, 22-element beam on 70 centimeters, 3-element beam on 6. And when the VHF station isn't running satellite, it'll do weak signal on that as well. Okay. So we have a TS2000, 2 computers for logging and tracking. We have sideband CW on the weak signal. And the TS2000 and the computer actually adjust for the Doppler shift. And these are linear or circularly polarized, and we work mostly the linear transponders. The Aries group will have the packet radio, and we'll be doing WinLink messages on behalf of the club as part of the field day. Next. A typical setup shows the bandpass filters, which is what makes this whole thing work. Because when you have, even when you operate in 20 meters and 40 meters, they'll interfere with each other. So we have some pretty good bandpass filters to help. Now, there are times when the GOTA station is going to be on one part of the band and you're going to be on the other part of the band, and we want you to play well together. So we have to coordinate that. And if it comes down to arbitration, I'll help arbitrate, but we'll try to keep them spread out as much as we can. Next slide. So the typical, this is the 450, just shows you the basic dial. It's relatively straightforward to operate. You guys can mess it up. There's a number of times I have to sit back down at the radio afterwards and get them all straightened out again. The secret is they come and they tell me, I can't hear any stations. And sure enough, they've got the narrowband filter on and they're trying to run sideband, and so they're not hearing much. So, but we help you get that straightened out. That's part of being there and mentoring. Next slide. We use N1MM. It's free. It's easy to use. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. There's a thing on our website about the basic stuff to operate. But it's really very easy. When you first sit down, you do Control-O and you change the operator. And if there's 2 of you working together, you put your call signs in together, no space. Used to be we could put a space in there, but now you can't. So you have to just jam them together. Because if you don't do that, the guy that was sitting there before you is going to get credit for all the QSOs that you do. And you know, it's there's a couple people in this club who purposely watch for that so you can get their extra QSOs, not devious or anything. So, but everybody who makes 100 QSOs at field day gets a plaque. So it's a lot of incentive to get out there and get a little wallpaper. And these are nice plaques. I can show you what they look like. I got one here tonight. If you screw up to the point that you can't log it, Alt-W gets rid of it. You can add a note trying to describe what you screwed up. And I've got a little tutorial that we can do later on the week before to help you get past some of the N1MMs. If you don't put the call section, if you don't put the section in right, let's say it's Santa Barbara, but you put SC instead of, well, SC is South Carolina, that's valid. But let's say you screw up one of the, like SJB instead of SJV for California section. It won't let it log. It just says the incorrect. If you hit the enter key enough, it'll go in, and then I'll have to fix it afterwards. But I'll talk about how to fix some of that as part of that. Next You can actually edit the log. You can double click on it. Let's say you put in 1 alpha and they were really 5 alpha. You can double click on it on that field and just change it right there. So it's relatively easy to fix your screw ups. Remember, this isn't a contest. There's no penalties for screw ups. But if this is a real emergency situation, we'd like to be as accurate as possible. So if you do make mistakes, we try to get it correct. Next slide. We have operating aids at every station. We use phonetics, use the phonetics all the time. You can even get a little creative with the phonetics at 3 in the morning. We don't care, but use phonetics. So it's we're 3 alpha and our section is whiskey alpha for Western Washington. It's real easy. By the time you've said that 5,000 times, you'll be talking about it over and over again, and even in your sleep. If you're comfortable, we do search and pounce. We try to get people to call CQ. It's really, especially on 20 meters with a 4-element beam, we have a pretty good signal. We can do very well calling CQ. Last year at field day, we had a duel going. Tim was on 40 meters, I was on 80 meters, and we were calling CQ, and he was beating me about 2 to 1. He's still smiling about that. So there's a lot of friendly competition that goes on. I'm assuming, Rick, that we can use the contest club call sign again. So N7HR for the go to station, which is a real nice short QSO or call sign. Next one. So here's the general schedule. Typically Thursday night, we're out there and do a bit of a walkthrough, just to make sure that there aren't any new surprises. Some of the picnic tables were in bad shape. We had to fix them. So we do a Thursday night walkthrough. We start setting up officially closer to 10 o'clock, but as several people will tell you, I'm always early, so I'll be out there a little earlier. But we start setting up between 9 and 10 o'clock. Friday night, usually we've got everything all set up before 5 p.m. And Tom Barton helps deliver some ice cream for Friday night ice cream schedule if we're holding to park. Now, there's some talk, and I don't know if it's going to mature, but we're talking about having a tailgate swap Friday night there if you've got stuff to sell. And we'll try to get the details of that hammered out in the next week so everybody knows ahead of time. So Saturday morning, we start operating at 1800 UTC, which is 11 a.m. And we go to Sunday morning at 1100. We have visitors all day Saturday, seminars in the afternoon. We have the potluck, which is we supply the burgers and hot dogs. But okay. If there wasn't a typo in this, that would have been a miracle, folks. So, what can I say? Sunday breakfast, Tim is going to cook us pancakes. And so we'll have breakfast there for the people that are operating and around. Operating ends at 1800 UTC, again, about 11, and takedown starts. And the storage unit is about a block away or block and a half away, but we need lots of transportations. We have rental tables, we have rental chairs. Those have to go back to Camas, 2 or 3 pickup truck loads to the storage unit. The tower trailer's got to go back out to Al Louis' place. So there's a lot of logistics involved in that. And we're typically done usually by 3 or 4 in the afternoon, but sometimes it might take us to 6:30. That's the worst case. Just so you know. What? Well, my truck is usually so loaded going home with all the stuff I bring that, and by that point in time, I've had maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep in 2 days. And so I walk in the house, I take a shower, and I'm try to not fall asleep on my wife, who asked me how field day goes. So a little bit about when the bands are open. 20 meters has been hot every now and then for the last couple of months. Now, during the contest a couple weekends ago, it was not hot. We're hoping that the stars align and 20 meters will be hot during the whole contest. 40 meters has really been the working band for everybody. So that'll be alive most of the day. Even if 20 meters dies at night, being there and being persistent. So last year on 20 meters at 1 or 2 in the morning, we worked Australia and a bunch of people out in the Pacific. So even though the band was absolutely dead, there were a few gems out there that made life sort of interesting. 80 meters starting at 5 p.m. and should go to about 4 a.m. Although here on the West Coast, these people all go to bed at midnight. So I don't know what this is all about. So it's not as active as we'd like. 10 meters, again, it was open. There was e-scatter 10 meters a couple weeks ago. I worked about 40 or 50 stations. So if it opens up, it'll be fun and exciting. The conditions are getting right that it might. 15 meters will be open in the afternoon probably. So the total number of QSOs is one of our best measures of activity. And we need the CW, we need the RIDI and the FT8 operators, just because we need to be more balanced in our scope. And we have a lot of good CW operators available to the club. Al, sitting up here in the front row, can really pound away at the brass. Greg, KA7MDM, has been teaching the Morse Academy. So we've got some good CW operators that are available to sign up. So volunteering, setting up antennas and erecting them. You don't need to know what you're doing. There will be a bunch of us there telling you what to do. And it's a good way to get educated about what it takes to put it all up. We need people to transport. We need people to help put up the shelters and the lighting. Greg designed these really great monkey huts that we use. We've only had them one cycle, but they're relatively easy to put up, and they actually perform very well. They're not like these little pop-ups that when the wind comes up, you're chasing them across the field. Once you put them up, they're pretty solid. We need security on Friday night. We got all this stuff all set up, ready to go, and most of us are going to go home and try to get a good night's sleep Friday night. But we need 3 shifts of security who will sit out there and just sort of keep an eye on things. Please, if you're at all interested in doing that, let us know. We'll have people there helping you operate, mentoring you. We have a lot of veteran people here that have done a lot of contesting, have done a lot of operating, and they'll be able to talk you through. Jason last year had made how many HFQSOs before he came to field day? All right, and how many did you make at field day? 100. So that's the kind of success story that we like to see for the new operators who haven't done that. We have safety and first aid available. A couple of years ago, it was so hot, the dehydration was a real risk. Last year was horrible. In fact, we didn't even put everything away last year. We got it taken down, left it sit there for a day or two till the weather broke, and we came back and finished packing it all up. We have people that are going to come visiting. We'll have people that will help guide them around and talk to them about what's there. And take down, disassemble the antennas, take down the shelters and lighting, get it all back to the storage unit, and clean up. We leave the place as clean as we found it, or actually a little cleaner usually. It does accumulate. So here's the people currently signed up for setup and takedown. We could actually fill every one of those squares. There's plenty enough for people to do during that amount of time. The biggest problem is there aren't enough Tim's and me running around helping, telling people what to do. But there is room for more volunteers for setup and takedown. Next slide. This is the operating schedule for Saturday. A lot of holes in there, folks. And please feel free to fill those up. Next slide. And Sunday is not a lot better. Okay. So there's a lot of room to be operating there still on Sunday. What? Yep, it's all on the website. If you go to the website under operating and field day, and the sign-up sheets are there. The current website and all these sign-up sheets and that is really working out a lot better. My assistant over here and a lot of other people in the room deserve a real attaboy for helping us get that new website up and running. So, yes, Tom. Yes, it's a Google Doc, so it's pretty hard to screw up. You can accidentally screw up somebody else's entry. Please don't do that. We have had to fix it a couple times when people did that. So, but please be considerate. Get in there, sign up, and get out, and that's just fine. So, what is it important that you take away from field day? Did you have a good time? I mean, that's the number one thing. Because if you didn't have a good time, you're not going to come back. You're not going to have fun. So we want you to have a good time. You want to set some goals. You want to learn how to operate a satellite. You want to make your first single sideband contact. Whatever your goal is, go there with them in mind and let's get them accomplished. Was the fellowship cordial? I'd like to think it will be. Like I said, though, there is some stress factor, so you got to be willing to take a step back, take a deep breath, and go at it with a positive attitude on occasion. Did we promote amateur radio in a positive light? And I think we really want to do that. And you want to have confidence that we can contribute in a real emergency. We have quite a storehouse. We have all those radios. We have generators. We have emergency lighting. We have all the kind of stuff that would be very important in a real emergency that we can supply to the community. And summary. So we know what the intent of field day is. We've described how we're going to operate field day, what positions are available. The basic radios and loggings are straightforward that you can do even with a little bit of coaching. It takes maybe 10 or 12 minutes to get started on N1MN. And if you get screwed up, you yell and somebody will come running and help you fix it. We got the general schedule that is shown. We're expecting good band conditions, so we need more operators. And there's lots of ways to volunteer. We have people who help organize all the food for the 2 days. And what we really want to do is focus on enjoying a field day. So with that, a couple of pictures. That's our 4-element beam that we put up on the crank-up tower. This is a typical operating position with the radio and the computer. You see the operating aids there that are printed out with all the ARRL sections and the phonetics for the what you should do when you're calling CQ or answering. This shows you one of the information booths. This is the Aries information booth with the orange kit and a couple of other things that they're talking on. So we have people that come by and visit, get an idea what some of the other parts of the organization do. Shows you the blue monkey huts and then the table, and must be eating Saturday night dinner by the looks of things. This is the example of one of the youth visitors who was on the radio, and I think it was Carolyn back there in the back row who was mentoring the young man at that point in time. Is she ducking because I told the name? Sorry, Carolyn. Next slide. I give you a little bit of a view of what it's like underneath the trees there. So it's a little shaded. It's pretty decent. That's our kitchen tent. That's the most important part. Marilyn keeps the cookies and stuff there for me to munch on all night long. So although she's got her daughter being married, so we're having to punt, and we've got a couple other people helping volunteer for the food this year, but we could use another person or two doing that. And here's the monkey huts being put together. They're PVC pipes with tarps thrown over them. It's actually something we use at a place called Burning Man a lot, but they're very durable. Back in 2018, we had a bunch of pop-ups that started flying away during field day, and that's when we decided to do something that was a little more durable. And these are, you can see it in the background there with the tarp stuck on it. Extremely resistant to the wind and stuff, and they keep things pretty dry. So, that's the inside of one before the equipment's put on. And there's our tower trailer that we put the beam on and crank up. We actually guide the trailer once it's up. There was quite an adventure a few years ago where Rick Smith almost got hit by the antenna on the tower coming down in a windstorm. So we do guide it up. Did I say why we had a safety officer? And this gives you an idea what setup looks like on Friday morning, all the different things that are going on and the people that are working and putting stuff up. Yep. What was that? Oh no, they were just stop action motion. They were all doing something, Rick. Okay. And there we are at one of the operating stations. This has got the VHF operating station. So we're getting ready to do satellite at that spot. So that's it. Questions about field day, Tim? Right. Beautifully. Okay, they're totally integrated. So when you've got the N1 MN up and you go to digital mode, it'll actually launch the FT8 window. And when you log on FT8, when it goes in the FT8 log, it'll through the magic of the computer, will actually put the log right in the N1 MN as well. Just put your call sign in, and then just like they put in the P or the CW next to it, just put FT8. It should be, you know, any operating slot could be chosen to do FT8. Let me, Tom, you had a question? Well, we have headsets available for every radio. So, and we have Y adapters, so you can plug in two people, so one can listen to the other. We have some headphone amplifiers available, but we've never actually used them. The Y adapters have usually been adequate, but for some of us who are getting more hard of hearing, we may need those amplifiers sooner than later. Yeah. Chris, you had a question? Well, we've had fewer and fewer issues with the parking. We actually blocked it off so that they couldn't go towards the community garden. And then after that, it's other than the area where we've got the information booths, it's pretty much free parking anywhere. So, and if it becomes an issue, I'm sure we can address it. Do we have any questions from out in Zoom about the field day? Yes, it is. It's 112. Yep. Yeah. So it's really easy to find. Once if you're on Gurr Avenue or 112th, whatever name they're giving it on each part of the road, and it's you go by SCH, it's 39th Street, you pull in there and there's a big gate open up and you go right into the green space. Yeah, we have banners that we'll put on the fence and stuff like that. Plus, typically we have the someone will be on the repeater 147.24 to talk people in. So, okay. Let's see. Yeah, go back to that one. Oh, on the president's report, I do need to talk. We have renewed our agreements with Cressa for the repeater sites. I got the second one this week and signed it on behalf of the club. We have bought 3 new laptops for field day. I'm in the process of getting them all to fire up, loaded up. So where the old laptops were, I don't know how old, but they were just getting to the point, and they wouldn't do the FT8. So these are 64-bit processors, and they can process the FT8 without any issues at all. The D-Star repeater, I get 2 or 3 emails a week about it. It's still in the process of being moved to OHSU, but the process is not trivial. There's all sorts of agreements and collaboration that has to take place, so it may be several months away before it's moved. Okay. Well, we appreciate everything you're doing for that. I know when you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure everybody's covered. It's like our new co-location agreement with Cressa. It's amazing, the 2 documents. One of them is 22 pages long, and the other one was 5 pages long. And I had to read through all 22 pages, and there were some minor changes. In fact, we're having to reevaluate our insurance vendor so we can meet the requirements. So just little things like that really eat up. We have activities coming up this weekend, starting at about 11 o'clock Saturday is the June VHF contest. If you don't have single sideband or CW, there is lots of opportunity to operate FM simplex. There will be people on 146.52, so many that are covering each other up. There will be so many. And if I hear you on there, I'll try to move you to 22 223.5 or to 446 and work you from there, simplex. Now, just because you got an HT and an antenna doesn't mean you can't work a long way away. There's a bunch of people go up on Mount Hood for this. There's people that go up on Silver Star. There's people that go all these little hilltops. With my beams, I can work people in Portland with an HT. So you can be 40, 50 miles away and still make QSOs. Get on the air. It's 6 meters on up. All you got to know for the exchange is your grid square. And unless some of you drive a long way, it's all going to be CN85. So that's all you got to know. And we look at field day, June 24th, 25th, and 26th. Next board meeting is June 29th. And our next meeting here will be July the 8th. Anybody have any last minute things for the club? Floyd. Yes, so it's listed on the ARRL website for field date, and we've got 147.24 listed. Yep, yeah, listed for that, and we are already on the ARRL website. Toby. Yep.
I didn't mean to bring this up, but Dave talking about field day and a conversation he and I had this last week sort of prompted me to share it with you. There's some discussion going on around the country about individuals associated with extremist groups, meaning far left, far right, utilizing amateur radio for less than good purposes, honorable purposes. There's a reporter sniffing around. I contacted Dave first, and I've been dialoguing with him, who's looking for some dirt on amateur radio. Quite honestly, he's absolutely convinced that somebody in our club or one of our related organizations are associated with one or more. So when he says Proud Boys, I say Antifa. You know what I mean? So it makes him crazy that I have a foot on each side of the line. So the reason I share all that with you, and ordinarily that's kind of a dark subject, is if you become aware of any of this, either reporters sniffing around, would you please contact me and let me know so that I can deal with it. Don't make a half of the club there. And then the other one that's kind of obvious, if you're aware of any of this circuitous use of, let me know so that we can deal with it. We were in receipt of a joint press release from the ARRL and the FCC last year in January, warning us that this was going on. And of course, you know, you're seeing a lot of press right now regarding the January 6th incident. That's where it started. So apparently a lot of the people who were photographed coming into the Capitol had amateur radio Baofangs and Anytones and other radios that were obviously low-cost amateur radio equipment. And, you know, they're getting them programmed. There's a website out there. You can look for it if you want to. Lists all kinds of frequencies that they're suggested that they can use. About a third of them are amateur radio simplex frequencies. So if you become aware of it, let me know. We would like to deal with it, but it can hurt us. It can make us look like part of the problem, and we're everything but part of the problem. We self-police and we tell the truth. Thank you.
I think the battery was going in that one. I've got a lot of hours on it. So Rick, what do you have?
Thanks. Everybody, I think, knows me pretty much. NE70, Rick Aragon, I'm the VP here. I just recently took over the training from Delvin, which I want to thank Delvin for many years of his dedicated service. He's a fine gentleman. Anyway, I've been getting requests for a tech class. Right now, I'm putting syllabus together and getting some information. I've talked to Delvin, I've talked to Barb, see the format they were using. I've looked into some other trainers, and so I should have something put together. Probably, you should probably hear something around in July, I would think. I'm trying to target the July BE session, and so that's kind of where my eyes are at. But you can contact me if you want to know somebody that wants to get on the list, because I'm starting. I've got an active list started now. So if you just email me at my call sign at yahoo.com, or my understanding is there's going to be a tag on the club website, and you should be able to get a hold of me, and I'll acknowledge your email when you send it to me. So look for it. Any information from there on, I know a couple ladies here are already interested in doing this, but get on the online stuff, start looking at that stuff, and kind of reviewing it. And then when we do the lecture and we can better explain your questions, that's how we'll work that. So anyway, any questions out there on that? All right, thank you.
Okay, we're to the part that we got stuff to give away. James, did I wake you up? Okay. Well, I'll bring it over here. Okay. What kind of trouble we're in?
Good evening. Good evening. Jim Newsom, KE7ZAC. Glad to see everybody here. And for all the visitors, I hope you come back to see us again. You know, we do a lot of good things here. One of the things we do is 50-50. After the money, 50% of the money goes to the ticket winner, and the other half goes to the club's fund for prizes at the end of the year and for the banquet. Also, I have a bunch of badges that are still waiting to be picked up. If you applied for a badge and you haven't picked it up yet, I've got it. I would not like to have to mail them again, but I guess I might have to. I don't make them, I just give them out. But and all the new members and prospective members, you get a new badge when you join. We give you good stuff here. I have a lot of fun. Tonight, we have a total of $60. Okay, $60. And I have Dan. You want to draw your? No, you bought a ticket, Dan. It's not that I don't trust you, but you know, you're Dan. Okay, for $60, our first ticket holder is going to be ticket number last four 0534. 0534 for $60. Burn. Also, Floyd, KF7 MJY. Yeah. All right, thank you. Floyd, KF7 MJY donated a Yaesu FT 1900 VHF. Yeah, VHF 2 meter. When did you take the test? No. VHF 2 meter. It does work. Has a microphone bracket to hold it and a power cord, and it does work. It's 50 watts out. Last four 0586. 0586. 0586. Coming up, young man. Going once, twice, and they coming to get it. 0586. Drop that back in there. Let me over here. He can't, he's blind. I'm sorry. I love you, brother. All right. And this is Elijah Smith, KK7 CRJ. And here's your. Do you have a mobile already? You do? That's right. You got now. You got another one. Give it to the kid. Wait. Oh, I'll give you a bag. I'll give you a bag. Oh. Put it all in there. There you go. Okay. The next item we're going to give away. We got a bit of stuff tonight, and it's going to be a portable wine and cheese set with a glass cutting board. And this is the unit right here, donated by KF7OJA and his spouse. I think it works. It's sharp. Last four 0513. 0513. Leo, come on up, brother. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, the deciding factor is how much wine you drink. All right, thank you. All right. Stanley and Norma again donated some prizes. Latest purse. This is the latest purse. We have a couple of them. If you don't have a wife, you have a girlfriend. If you have a girlfriend, give it to your daughter. And we got two of them. 0581, 0581, 0581. There he goes again. There he goes. I think this guy's going to take Wayne's position as the lucky one. There you go. Let's see. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, we have a set of picnic dish holders, dividers. Last four. 0574. 0574. 0574 going once. See, Wayne, you've been. You see, all right. You see that guy right there? You just dethroned him as the winningest guy in the club. Here you go, my friend. Thank you. All right. One more first. You can also add a granddaughter to the list. See, wife, girlfriend, granddaughter. 0521, 0521, 0521, 0521. Check them up a little bit there. Okay. Nobody? Carl Martin. There you go, my friend. Yes, sir. That's it. Oh, sorry. Good to see you at CPAC there, my friend. All right. This is a set of, yes. You have two, I think it's two large, a medium, yeah, whatever, and a small one. Socks, underwear, other necessities. 0538. 0538. 0538. Wendy, there you go. All right. And we have the last item is going to be a travel kit bag. It used to be emergency. What was it, Stanley? Oh, yeah, emergency. Yeah, but he threw it out. But the bag, and it has first aid kit, a couple of chemolites, and a couple of the safety devices in this kit. Throw it in the back of your car and get ready for the big one, the Cascadia Rising exercise, which is coming up this month, next month. It's happening now. Okay, the last four is 0563. 0563. All right. There you go, sir. But once again, all the new people, welcome to the club. All the old folks, good to see your faces again. Hope you had a good time at CPAC. And don't forget the badge. So we'll see you next month. See you at Field Day. David?